Hi there, week 9 of training out of 16. So on the countdown now, getting closer towards the event. After low energy at the weekend, I seem to have recovered. Legs feeling light and springy. Just completed 4 miles and every mile split was faster by about a minute, 30 seconds than my usual slow run pace. Heart rate stayed low, so that's a promising start to the week. Coming up, I've got a longer hard interval session and I'll probably take that out on the hills, I think. And then on the weekend coming up, I need to find 26.2 miles, so a full marathon training run, which will be interesting. Fueling is definitely going to be a challenge for that one. Making sure that I've got either enough with me or planning a route where I can have an aid station effectively and a refuel station part way round. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to wing that one yet, but I will figure it out and share with you how it goes. It's Thursday today already, so I haven't run since Monday. Tuesday was a day off, that was planned rest day, and then yesterday I woke up with a horrible digestive issue. I was very ill for most of the day. Somehow I managed to do classes, got some breakfast down me and pulled it together enough to do classes, and then I think I didn't have a proper lunch, so by the evening I was having quite a lot of pain. Decided I wasn't going to run, and then basically crashed. Managed to eat again, felt loads better after I'd eaten, but then just completely exhausted, so I slept, went to bed an hour earlier than usual and slept. Tired this morning still, but feeling brighter this afternoon, and I'm a bit gutted because yesterday was going to be a big 9-mile hard effort run, so I was one of the good quality sessions. I was hoping to do some more pace work, maybe some hills, and at first I thought, well, maybe I can swap that for today, and I would have hoped to have done like the short 5 miles for yesterday, but when I realised that wasn't going to happen, I've sort of let go a little bit and decided to just let it go. But the exciting thing that's cheered me up loads in the midst of all of that is a new race pack. So I've got a brand new backpack thingy, because I'm going to need to, on my event, have some kit with me, like waterproof trousers, waterproof jackets, enough food, enough liquid to get me round. Even though there will be aid stations, I need to have enough with me for whatever reason in case I, get stranded. And it's a mandatory kit list, so I needed something that had a backpack space that I can carry all of that with me, which my other pack only has the front loaded hydration flasks and a tiny little space for carrying stuff. So taking it out today, even though I haven't got anything in the backpack bit, just to get a feel for the new thing, try and get used to what it feels like. And yeah, it's first thing I've noticed straight away is the other one has some little pockets on the front that would give me space to store like the fat jack bars that I've been having right on the front here, which is really handy. Obviously I'll be able to carry them with me, but it would mean taking the whole backpack off to get them out of the back. So I think I might need some sort of belt system or bum bag type thing as well, just to have like immediate access snackage, and then when I get to sort of aid stations or at increments through the run where I want to refill water bottles or things like that, or swap the water bottles around, I can switch to like get the backpack out, get the food out and that kind of thing. So that's going to take a bit of practice, which I'm planning to do this weekend. So it's a very long run weekend this weekend coming up, which I'm going to assume is going to be fine to just go for it. So I'm going to take it slow and try and do that. But for today, let's just try and get 6 or 7 miles done. I'll be happy with that. Gosh, it is so humid today. That got really hot. So pushed the pace a bit harder than usual, went where I knew there would be a bit more incline than usual, to get some elevation gain, but kind of no real structure to it, more of a fartlek type session, just surging when I could and then easing off when it got too much. And the pack held out quite well. It's got a bit of a looser fit, so I think that's because the actual backpack section of it is quite empty at the moment, so I will fill it up for the run at the weekend, and hopefully that will help it stay in place a bit better, because it was quite bouncy. If not, I might have to just gain 10 pounds around my shoulders or around my bust somehow to help it stay in place a bit better, which ain't gonna happen before the race, so I'll need to figure something out for that. But yeah, done, feeling okay, glad to get running again. Saturday morning has arrived. It's the long weekend in terms of the plan. 26 miles is suggested on the plan today. The notes that came with it said try and run a trail marathon event. I didn't even look, obviously with the COVID situation I don't think there would have been anything on today, but I'm going to try and simulate something like that as best I can. I've come out to the Ridgeway, as you can see, and got my race pack all packed up. I'll show you that in a few minutes. So I'm very nervous about this. Get really nervous about the longer runs, partly because I've come out here. It would have been easier to be back at home, like back on the trail, back on the Thames Path trail, where I know that if I got stuck or for whatever reason I needed to stop, I can easily get home through bus routes or whatever, or through getting picked up. But out here it's a bit more remote, so I'm more nervous about doing such a long distance out away from easy access to getting home. And also I've driven myself, so there's no one with me. And the other thing is it's a really hot day today. Yesterday got up to, I think it was one of the hottest days ever recorded for August, and today's probably going to be quite similar, and you can see it's blazing sunshine already. It looked like it might get a bit overcast, but I don't think it's going to. So obviously I've got my sunscreen and my hat and everything. This part of the Ridgeway Trail, compared to the Thames Path, it's not as overcast, so there's no tree coverage, which would have made a difference. So I'm going to be quite exposed in the heat, so bearing all that in mind, although 26 miles is the target, I'm not going to try and be a hero about it and be insistent on getting it done. I looked back at my previous long run, the 20 miles that I did, and that took me 3 hours and 50 minutes, so just about 4 hours. So actually my goal for this session is to just try and keep going for 5 hours and get the time ticked off rather than the distance. Even if I went at a similar pace to that last time, I think that would take me to 26 miles, so I probably will be able to cover that distance in that time, because hopefully today I won't have the same dehydration issues that I had last time. Interestingly, I listened to a podcast within the last week with the chap who's behind a company called Precision Hydration, who do individualised testing on people's hydration levels, on how much salt you sweat out when you sweat and how much sweat you sweat out. So the volume of salt in your sweat and the volume of sweat that you give out when you exercise. And apparently there can be a really big variance between some people who hardly sweat salt at all and some people who do loads. And this guy was one of the high end, and that's why he was driven to figure this out for himself, because he was an Ironman and training and suffering and dying, and once he realised sodium levels were an issue, it apparently transformed his exercise. So I have a feeling I'm at the higher end as well, based on being a heavy sweater, and I'm pretty sure I'm quite a salty sweater as well. Like on Thursday's run that I did a couple of days ago, I could literally, it was burning my eyes at the end of the run. It was so humid and it was just going in my eyes, and you can taste it sometimes as well. So what I've done is doubled up a bit on some of the, because I always take electrolytes with me anyway, but understanding a bit more about the levels of sodium that are in there after having listened to the podcast, they're towards the lower end, which makes sense because that's for the majority of people. So what I've done, instead of putting 1 tablet in for 500 mils, I've put 1.5 tablets in for 500 mils, try and give myself a little bit extra boost, and taken extra electrolyte tablets yesterday when I wasn't running and this morning when I got up. So hopefully the hydration side of things won't be an issue for today as much, and I'll be able to recover. And obviously I'm going to order some of what they were selling and try that out as well and see if that helps, because if that is a factor, that could make a real difference to how horrible it feels going for the really longer distances. And the other thing today is that new pack that I bought. I'll show you in a second. I've filled it up a bit more. I've got some extra food with me today. I'm going to try and have some different food, so not just flapjacks for today for the longer run. So I'm going to try and really race test it as much as possible. Yeah, let's see. Right then, so kit, trail shoes on. I'm wearing shorts today, which wouldn't be my preference. I'm worried about chafing, but I've brought some Vaseline with me. So I've got my fancy new race kit, and as you can see, the backpack bit's all filled up. What I've done here is I've got some leggings, just in case I do need to cover up my legs. If the shorts do start to rub, I'm going to put leggings on. And I've also packed, because we've been told the kit that we need is waterproof running kit, so because obviously the weather can change quite quickly, so it's a mandatory kit thing is to take waterproof running trousers with you. I've got cycling running trousers, which I don't think are going to be good to run in, but I've put them in there because it'll be good practice to run with that weight in there. So there's an extra food bar in there, that is a Pack-A-Mac. I've got a bagel with cheese and Marmite, so that's my new thing that I'm trying out today, and an extra flask of water with me as I run. That's part of the weight. And then on the front of the pack, the flasks, I carry one with water and one with the electrolytes in, because sometimes, especially when you're eating, it's nicer to have just plain water. I've also got my bum bag, because I really do need to be able to have access to food without having to faff around taking the backpack on and off. So in here are cereal bars, car keys, bagel, my baseball cap fits in there because I might not want it for the whole thing, wet wipes just in case, because I'm a just in case kind of person. So that'll sit around my waist. Feels like overkill. I might look at getting a smaller version of this, something a bit smaller that's just got room for bars and keys. And then for later on, I always bring towels with me to put on the car seat on the way home. Spare sun cream. So my plan for the route, today is to go that way for about 10 miles and then come back, and if I don't feel too awful I can go that way to finish off the extra hour, the extra 6 miles, and it means I'm coming back near the car midway through, so that if I need to, there's an extra flask of liquid in my bag with the towels, so I'm probably going to be fine. Straight away, first thing, definitely feels a bit of a better snug fit with the extra weight in the backpack, so I'm sure about that. It's going to be weird running with the extra weight there, but hey, it's good to practice it. And the other thing that's really lovely is the breeze up here. So it's really warm and humid already, but the breeze here is freezing off the wind because we're quite exposed here. The air can come across and it feels lovely. Also quite worrying because it's still going to be quite warm, but it shouldn't feel too awful too soon. Well, that didn't go quite how I expected. So I got about 8 miles out towards Goring along the Ridgeway, and once I saw that that's how far I'd got, I was curious about getting to the river and might do that as a different run one day, just take the path all the way down from the Ridgeway onto the Thames path and try and get back home up to Abingdon that way. But today that was not to be. When it started getting towards the main road, I doubled back and just got slower and slower all the way back until just past the 13.5 miles mark. Just decided to stop. So I'd been feeling hotter and more dehydrated. Obviously I knew I had extra drink with me to pick up, and then I started cramping in my calf, and I suspect that's partly to do with the extra elevation gain, because it was quite. Now I've paused my run, bear with me while I prop this up. Now I've paused my run, I can see that I covered about 1,000 feet of elevation gain, which is a lot more than I would normally do, by about 10 times on an average run around Abingdon. And yeah, there was a lot of up and down, and my calves aren't used to that. So it was good training run in that respect. But when the cramping sensations start, knowing I'm a bit dehydrated, knowing I'm probably a salty sweater and not going to be able to rehydrate as well as I ought to for how my body is, I just decided to stop. Mentally I was like, if I was in a race and feeling this bad, there's no way I'd want to push through another 13 miles. So I stopped the clock and walked back, and look at that. I don't know if you can see that salty edge there. So yeah, stopped the clock, walked back, and even after walking for 10 minutes didn't feel better. You know, you think, oh well, I'm just having a slow moment and then I'll get a second wind in a minute, but that didn't come at all. Mentally my head's just didn't have the mental energy to push. As I was walking back, bits of me started to feel a bit better, my head felt a bit brighter, but then I started feeling nauseous. I just feel really emotionally drained, and I'm going to go home and have a bath and put my feet up and drink a lot of water. I feel like I've talked loads today, but that didn't seem like such a great place to leave it, so I'm okay, just drained. And although it was a difficult run, although I didn't get what I'd hoped out of it, there's still some positive stuff. So it seems highly likely that the hydration issue is a big issue for me, and that I'll need something much stronger than commercial electrolyte or standard commercial electrolyte drinks to get me through a big run, especially if there's any chance of it being anywhere near as hot as it is at the moment, which seems unlikely for late September, but you never know in this country. So but at least that's something that can be addressed, and I know now before the day, I'd rather bust out halfway through a training run than miss out on potentially getting the medal on the day, or the achievement of completing the race on the day. So that's a good thing. It sucks to be in this state, but it's a good learning curve. And the other thing was the cheese and Marmite bagel was a hit. tasted so good, and such a change from flapjacks. Difficult to digest again, probably partly because of the dehydration. It was it slowed me down a bit after I was eating it, and it was a bit dry, but it tasted really good, so it would be a good way to get calories in, and a decent enough chunk of carbs, so I think that'll be in the pack on the race day. And it was lovely and peaceful and quiet out there, especially first thing, the first 3 or 4 miles where it was a bit cooler, deceptively cooler right at the beginning. That felt good. Just tanked very quickly after that. But it's all good experience, and I'm still alive, so easy recovery run tomorrow, and then into a very easy recovery week next week, which is something to look forward to. Now it's Sunday morning and a lot cooler, quite overcast, and it's much cooler. It would be quite nice to go running this morning, and there is another 3 miles on the plan to finish off for the week, but I decided to skip today's run. I was very slow waking up, just had breakfast and feeling a bit better for having eaten, but the week coming up, the next week, is a very low mileage week. It's a proper rest week, so I'm going to swap one of the rest days from there for the 3 miles today and take today as a rest day. I'm going out later to meet a friend for a walk, so I'll still get out the house and got a class to teach as well. So this morning I'm just going to take it really slow, read my book, drink my coffee, and recover from what's been actually a really stressful week. I was ill, and I had that really long sweaty session on Thursday, and then yesterday's trauma, so I think a rest day's in order. See you next week.